Hey,
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
and hey to everybody on Facebook land. It is Marital Monday. Hold on, let me get everything together here. Let's see. It is 8:30 and it's Monday. How you feeling, boo?
Good, good, good.
Feeling good?
Absolutely.
Marital Monday. All right. Just giving y'all a couple of minutes and we're going to get started. Listen, y'all gave us some great questions. We got some good questions, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have some answers. We may not agree, but that's what Marital Monday is all about, talking about the difference in opinions and the way we think in marriage. But at the end of the day, we want it to all work out.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right? So you want to get started?
Let's make it happen.
All right. So I love to start with a scripture. And this morning it comes from James 2:12. So whatever you speak or whatever you do, remember that you will be judged by the law of love, the law that set you free. For there will be no mercy for you if you have not been merciful to others. So just thinking of marriage and the whole institution of marriage, have grace and have mercy toward your spouse. As we go through these different topics, it's important that we judge from the law of love, the same law that we want to be judged by. So,
yeah.
All right. So let's get to the questions. We're going to give each question some good time, some good answers.
Boom, boom, boom. All right. What should singles be doing to prepare for their future mate / proper mindset and knowing how to embrace singleness while waiting? So it's somewhat of a double question in here. First part is, what should singles be doing to prepare for their future mate?
Right.
Okay. And having a proper mindset. So let's talk through that first. And the second part is, and also knowing how to embrace their singleness while waiting. So what should they be doing to prepare for their future mate? And basically, what should they be doing to embrace their singleness?
Ooh, hi, Aunt Linda. Good morning. Okay, so what should you be doing to prepare for your mate? There were a lot of things that I was doing that some of them James might disagree with because he thought I was crazy for doing some things.
Still think you're crazy.
But I think as a single, I can speak from being a single woman. As a single woman, I learned to date myself. That was the main thing, because after going through a divorce, you question a lot. And it doesn't even have to be divorce, just any long-term relationship that has been broken up. I questioned a lot. I questioned myself. I had a lot of things that I needed to sort through. So I would say getting to know yourself, date yourself. Like, I had no problem going and sitting at Red Lobster by myself, getting my meal by myself. I had no problem going to the movies by myself. And as a matter of fact, when I started dating, that got me in trouble because I was so used to doing things by myself. So to prepare for that, it's spending time with God. It's learning yourself. It's learning what type of friends you want. It's learning all about you. And it's really, really tough because people used to say, oh, well, you need to get on dating sites. You need to do this. You need to do that. All of that was great. And that's where I met my husband. But before that, I spent a lot of time learning myself. And that meant some nights crying because I thought on Friday nights, why am I not out dating? Why am I not out doing this? Why am I stuck in the house? I'm a good woman. I have a lot to offer. But I learned to, in those times, love myself and set standards on what I wanted and who I wanted to be for my mate.
And see, and I could never grasp the concept. And I guess some guys, we don't like doing stuff by ourselves. We don't use words like, I'm about to date myself. I'm about to go out with myself. That's bad. So, we're going to call one of our boys and we're going to go out doing something together. We're going to try to put ourselves out there.
I'm shocked. Guys don't like being alone.
No, what should we be doing to prepare? Depending upon how you look and so forth. Some guys, they're brushing their hair, getting their hair braided, making sure that they look a certain way, making sure that their body look a certain way. And unfortunately, most of it is on the outer appearance. How do we look? So that way, when you see us, and we can come at you, and
So men aren't preparing. Y'all just preparing physically. Y'all aren't preparing on the inside.
In most cases, until you learn. And then you should be trying to get yourself together. Like for example, for me, I was trying to make sure I was well groomed, well mannered, and I was trying to make sure that I had a couple things together.
But y'all wasn't dealing with nothing.
I know, but for me, I'm a little different breed. And there, you do have some men out here who they are trying to say, you know what? No, I better make sure I got my money together. I better make sure I got my house situation together. Make sure I got a ride, because all those things that I'm gonna want to do when I get you, it might not be as fun saying, "Hey, let's go out to Red Lobster," and
I get that, but
the bus line run at 9 o'clock.
But that means that men don't deal with their baggage, because if you came from a previous relationship, we're working on us. What are you working on besides brushing your hair and trying to get your money right?
See, and it's bad because a lot of men, I don't know if we will admit it, we ready to get over one situation, and then as time go by, figure it out on the spot.
Like Steve Harvey said on the radio, was it 2 weeks ago? Yeah. And I called James, men get over women with other women. I really,
other relationships.
I think that's, I don't know. As a woman, that sounds carnal.
Yeah,
I mean, it really does. Like,
and we really should be working on ourselves. I mean, we really should be figuring out, if I got an anger issue, okay, let me try to work on that and deal with that. If I'm controlling.
Y'all call us crazy.
Yeah, we really should. But that, in most cases, we don't. That's why a lot of this stuff just, boom, it creeps up right in the first few months or so of the relationship. And it's important that when this stuff do creep up in a few months or so, or whenever it creeps up in a relationship, to start identifying. Don't just overlook it. Right. Because it's not just going to magically go away. So what should you be doing to prepare? You should be working on yourself. You should be working on you. You should have some alone time. I agree with you. You should have some alone time. You should, the great Michael Jackson, look at the man in the mirror. You should do some self-reflection, some self-imaging, some accountability. You should have someone who can tell you a little bit about yourself that's not you. Someone who can tell you about yourself that's not you.
Yeah.
Now, hey, as a hint, typically that's God. God can tell us about ourselves.
Or a good sister girlfriend.
Or, someone like that too. And the second part of that question is, what should we be doing to embrace singleness? What should we be doing to embrace singleness? And you gave some ideas and suggestions.
Yeah,
and
doing some things by yourself, getting used to learning what you love. Like I learned that I love candles, which my family hates right now. But I learned that I love candles when I was single. I learned that I love bubble baths, believe it or not, when I was single. I don't have the time for them now, but learn what you love. Do the things you love to do. Enjoy the right people around you.
And this is the time where you have the opportunity to be selfish a little bit. This is the time where you have the opportunity to grow up and grow out of some things. Right. There are going to be a lot of things that you can't do once you decide to be in a committed relationship. You can't perform and act that same way that you did when you were single. So get a lot of that out of your system. Make sure that you're done with it, because there's going to be some things that you're going to have to let go. There were some things that I definitely had to let go that I used to love doing that just don't fit for the makeup of when you're in a committed relationship, when you're starting a family, when you're doing some of those things. And you don't want to feel like, man, my life is just boring now. I can't just do any of those things. But that's where you want to do a lot of that while you're single. So that way you have no one else to answer to but God and yourself.
That's good. That's good. Next question.
Should you stay in a marriage until your children are grown? And in the world, we hear that a lot, that you're going to hurt the kids. So what is this question asking?
Should you stay in the marriage until your children are grown and out of the house?
Okay, so grown? I guess this writer is probably going through a little something and contemplating, should I stay or should I go? And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 kids there that they see
that are young,
and ultimately, even as parents, when we're going through something, no matter what it is, I would probably say 99.9% to 100% of the time, we do try to look at how is this going to affect the kids, or we should look at how this is going to affect the kids.
So is that your answer?
I really would start with how is it going to affect the kids first, and do what's best for the kids first. Choose to do what's best for the kids first, in a sense of not just doing something rash. Okay, I'm leaving off of emotion. Take some time to talk through it. Let some time go by and make sure that that's exactly what you want to do. Because once you step out, once you say it's over, there are a lot of gaps, a lot of holes that are going to be there that, you might not have want to, deal with right then and there. And it's going to be tough to be dealing with your emotion and the emotion of what's going on with your kids too.
Right. But for me, in marriage, there's always times of leveling up. So exactly what you said, be careful what you say, and if you're storming out of emotion. Now, if you're getting beat or somebody is consistently cheating on you, for me, no, because your children are also seeing that pattern.
Absolutely.
But marriage is about growth. I saw a post the other day that I loved from somebody that thanked their parents for being together for 30 years. Thank you for going through the rough times. Thank you for arguing and staying together. Thank you for, so the kids saw all of that, but you're teaching them models of what marriage is supposed to be. So when you stay and you work it out, you're showing them that this is going to happen in your relationship or any relationship you have in life. This is going to happen, but you stick it out.
Yes.
But at the same time, again, if you're getting abused and your children are seeing that, that's a whole different story.
And I knew someone who, maybe had teenagers, okay, and they were counting down the days to maybe their last kid graduated and so forth, and they already knew that they had an exit strategy. That might have been 3 or 4 years later. Mm-hmm. My suggestion to that is, with a little bit of in respect to what you said as far as the abuse and so forth, I don't think abuse is tolerated. But let's say if it's not that, and let's say if you haven't learned how to communicate the right way, and there's just some stumbling blocks that you can't get over, and you're thinking divorce might be the option, although we're not advocating that, we're not suggesting that. But what I am saying is, if you are going to stick it out while you have that timeline, you might as well be trying to do something to work it out. Right. If I got 2-3 years until the kids graduate, and that's my carrot that I'm dangling in front of myself as a meter to gauge when I'm gonna be out of it, you might as well be trying to work it out, because what if it actually works out? Like you said, you're gonna be teaching your kids, and even yourself that marriage is so easy to get divorced nowadays, but it's hard to stay married. Right. So and sometimes we don't want to do what's hard. Right. We don't want to do what's hard. We don't want to do the difficult thing.
And you're teaching major life lessons to your kids when you stick it out. It's tough though. It's tough.
It is tough, but a lot of good things come out of tough situations. A lot of good things are made out of tough situations, and you gotta go through it. So if you are going to stick it out, at least attempt to work it out. Right. So that way, you can maybe surprise yourself.
All right. Good. Next question.
And we have, how do you confront a selfish spouse, partner, or friend without getting in a confrontation? So it's a lot of little booby traps in here. So it starts out saying, how do you confront a selfish spouse? So, okay, right away, just know that you are asking, how do you confront? Well, if you're attempting to confront, be ready for a confrontation. Confront.
Well, I'm sure they didn't mean like confront like
this
that.
Word spelled C-O-N.
Okay, how do you talk to a selfish spouse? Because obviously they're asking the question, so they don't want to fight.
How do you confront
without getting into a confrontation?
All right.
So how do you talk to a selfish spouse?
You did right. Okay, don't confront. Talk about it. There are some times where, believe it or not, I have something on my mind that I want to talk to you about, and 2, 3, 4 days later, I finally bring it up because I take some time and I talk it out to myself a little bit. I take some time and I write down.
So you're avoiding confrontation?
Yeah, actually, because I don't want to be confrontational. But what I am doing is I'm talking out the points that's important to me. Right. I don't want to just say the first thing that comes out of my mind, because that's how a lot of arguments and a lot of wrong emotion get out there. Okay, if it's something that I know that I want us to accomplish, let me just make sure that the stuff that I say and what I really want is really, really worth it. And that gives me a chance to backtrack and make sure I don't, wait, I don't want to say that because I know that pushes your buttons.
I'm so opposite.
Yeah, but I
things come up, I'm like, hey, can I talk to you about something? And I'm good for that. Seriously, like, hey, can I talk to you about something? Because to hold it in for me, it's crazy. But also, you have to learn how to confront your spouse. So if you're dealing with a selfish person or a person that you think is selfish, that means they're all about themselves. Yes. So you have to find a way to approach them. Like each of us know ways, especially as women, we know how to approach our husbands when we want certain things, or we're about to ask for something. I know the certain things to say, or, hey, sweetie, like we all know what to do. So when you have a spouse that you're trying to avoid confrontation with, for me, it's setting the tone of, listen, can we talk about this? This is where my heart is coming from. And for me, that's the main thing. Because, you know, when we've had our spats, but are you hearing what I'm saying? Yeah. It's not about you. Do you hear what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to show you my heart and come from that approach instead of attacking. But some people, let's be real, some people, we're dealing with other issues. So no matter how the person approaches you, it's going to feel like you're being attacked.
And you're right. And you said something earlier that with most guys, it's still true. Believe it or not, if you actually come to us, and I'm not saying that it has to be some type of fairy tale entrance, but if you actually come to us with a different type of tone and more of I'm not saying it has to be soft and sweet and subtle, but believe it or not, it's certain words that catches our attention that you can be actually creating an argument, and there's no argument there by how you present it, how you bring it. But if this, as soon as we walk in, we can look at you and we can tell that, oh my goodness, World War III is about to happen, and then you're quiet, nothing's wrong, you doing all that extra dramatics and all that extra emotion, then it's gonna be tough, because then the guards come up, people get defensive and so forth.
So it's about your approach.
Yep,
it's about your approach.
So this person mentioned selfish, you know, and that don't mean that you cannot have a communication. That don't mean you can't talk to that person. That means that you just got to be more strategic with how you approach it.
And sometimes counseling is in order. Absolutely. Sometimes sitting before somebody and then being able to help you communicate some things, and then help the other person, because maybe that can open their eyes.
Because there are some people out there that respectfully will gladly accept your money to say, okay, wait, be quiet, it's your turn, don't talk. Okay, wait, now it's your turn. Okay, did you hear what she said? Did you hear what he said? And you know what? That's fine. And try that out.
And Aunt Linda said mostly unresolved issues that haven't been dealt with. A lot of the times that's what it is. I can say with me, a lot of the times that's what it is. And Tasha said, I've heard people say sometimes it's not what you say, but how you say it.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yep. And again, I don't like unresolved issues. So, but
he could sit on it for a long time now.
No, because
4 days. He could sit on stuff for a month.
Because you gotta process. Are you really just, why are you mad? Why are you angry? What did this do with you? What do you want to accomplish? Yeah, but I'm just saying, as a woman, you know, we can hold on to stuff anyway. So then when I let it go, you bringing it back up. And it's been a month when I want to talk about it. Not no month. We talking about a few days.
You can hold stuff in.
We talking about a few days or so we can process it, so we can be able to make sure that we effectively come out on the other side. Because ultimately, that's what I want. I want us both to win. I mean, it's team we. I want us both to get out of it. All right. Let's see what we got here.
We got two more.
How do you deal with a blended family that has nothing to do with the other spouse? There's no communication, participation, involvement, but the other spouse would like the benefits that you're giving your children, given to theirs.
Okay, so what I'm gathering is, what do you do in a blended family when the other spouse's children aren't very active with you, they don't communicate with you and stuff, but your spouse wants them to have the same benefits as your biological children, is what I'm getting. There's so many different things in here, because when you're talking blended family, there's other issues, not issues, but there's other people involved. You're talking about the ex spouse, whether it be wife or husband. You're talking about children that are dealing with new surroundings, new people. And then, I mean, for me, the base starts with you and the husband.
Yeah.
And you have to be on the same page about some things, because if you have young people, they will try you. With adults, it's different, but it's the same. I mean, like, y'all still have to be on the same page. And I can say, because we have a blended family, there are different dynamics and other people involved, but it starts with James and I, and where we want to be and where we want to see the family. So if there's a child that feels like, well, I'm not getting the same treatment from James or James and I are talking about that. And the kids know that they can come to us and talk, and the no communication piece can be a big, red flag that things could be coming from another source, or there's certain feelings that have not been talked about that need to be talked about.
Yeah. And you're right. When we met, we introduced both both of you and I starting a relationship. We were the focus point at that particular time. But, you know, shortly after that, and while we were in our dating stage, I knew the dynamics that if this was going to be serious, and I'm sure you probably knew that we were going to have a blended family.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't going to just be a bunch of eyes. It was going to be whatever we both brought to the table. And so for me, I knew that, okay, as I'm dating you, as I'm getting to know you, I want to make sure that I get the children involved. And so whatever age the children is, you can have babies, teenagers, or young adults or adults. At some point, you still want to get them involved and still develop some type of communication, some type of openness to say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I'm on the scene, here I am. And you won't have to use those words. Your involvement, your participation will allow them to be able to see that as well. So that way you can kind of see how that's going as well.
Right. But I think it also takes communication between the parent who has the biological children. Like before I met James, me, Zay, and Gab had that conversation. They were young. Zay brought it up. When are you going to start dating again? But there were certain things that before they happened, I talked to my kids about. So I knew if they agreed or disagreed or were uncomfortable with something, and we would talk through it. So I think it's the responsibility of the parent that has the biological children as well to kind of set the tone. They're not replacing you. We are a family.
Absolutely. That's very good to talk, set the tone, so that way they can know, so it wouldn't just be a shock at all. I think it's going to be a little rough if you meet someone, you all been dating for 5, 6, 7 months. A year later, you're engaged, and then you're married, and your kids haven't even met the other person.
Yeah,
or no one in your family even know nothing about it.
Well, that wouldn't have worked for us.
Yeah, that would be a little tough. There's situations like that out there. So for me, I want to meet the kid, because if this is now if you're talking about a committed relationship, if you're talking about taking it to that next level, you want to get that involvement going. So that way you can be able to develop that relationship, because when it is time to do the family get-togethers and the barbecues and the game nights and so forth, you want to be able to invite all family and friends and so forth as well on both sides of the equation.
Right.
You know, so that's important. So I would say it's never too late to start. Okay, so if it's been a little rough, it's been a little rocky, you know, go ahead and push past. Look at the other person that you're with. If you think this is the person for you and this is the person that you want to spend your life with, go ahead and start. Even if it's been rocky, even if it's been rough, even if it didn't go right, go ahead and start with trying to open the door for that.
And I don't know if it's been tried or not, but there's times where you spend time alone with our oldest, Isaiah, and you know what I mean? So y'all can build that relationship. I don't know if that's an option either, but
yeah, and that's intentional. That's with me being able to have a little bit of dialogue one-on-one with both our kids. So that way I can be able to, and I did that from day one.
Right.
So that way we can be able to say, hey, you know, what's up? What's good? You good? I'm good. Okay, there we go. So that way you can start some type of dialogue, because you might have to communicate with the children differently.
Right.
But whether they're a baby, young, or adult, you should try to open the doors of that communication, because it's not just about the person you're with. I can't get you and not have involvement with the kids, no matter what age, no matter what age they are. Even if they're in their 20s, no matter what age they are. It's the truth anyhow. I agree.
All right, what's the last one?
All right.
One more question for today.
Wow, small. Social media do's and don'ts. All right, social media do's and don'ts. And what I'll do is I'll start with this particular one, just because. Okay,
the person that doesn't have social media wants to start.
That's why I want to start, because this back a while ago, when I first got on the scene of dating, and I knew I was going to be in relationships and so forth, however many years that was. 36 now. So let's say, for example, that was around 18, 19, 20, whatever the case may be. That's when I really started my first, serious dating and courting. And I knew that at some point I was going to be in a relationship. And way back then, the major social media outlet was
MySpace.
No, MySpace was kind of going down. The major outlet that was just starting, that was blowing up, was Facebook. And it was very, 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 very messy. Women, in my opinion, knew how to navigate it really, really good. And a lot of guys would go on there and see a picture and press the wrong button, and not knowing that it went to his significant other, the person he was talking to, and everybody, whatever it can be. And it just started a lot of drama and fighting.
You starting off rough.
So, but what I'm saying is I said, oh, hold on. I don't want to even have no problems in my relationship. I don't want to have nothing to do with social media if that is the problem, because no one really taught me the business side of how you can use it for business, how you can use it to connect with families. I just used to see and hear so much drama and so
you
forth.
was clicking.
So I never, no. I seen other people clicking. I seen my other friends clicking.
Okay.
I never got involved. I seen other people clicking. I just decided not to do it because, hey, I don't want to.
You had Facebook when we met.
No,
yes,
on Facebook would have had what, 4 people on there, and my first sentence was, "I don't know what I'm doing on here. Tell me what to do. Am I doing this right or wrong?" And then after that, I posted nothing else.
That's true.
Because they said, "Bye."
Oh goodness. Okay, so social media do's and don'ts. I had somebody reach out to me a couple of weeks ago and ask about, is it okay if men slide into your DM? Because it's harmless. It's the internet, right? It can't do anything. It's not face to face with any person. It's wrong. Anything that you would not say in front of your spouse is probably wrong. Anything that you would slide in somebody's inbox and say to them, whether man or woman, is wrong. I don't know how I feel about how some people check to see if their spouse likes stats, likes certain pictures, and that causes issues. I just stay away from it. James don't even have social media, but it's a respect thing. If you were sitting in front of your spouse and you scroll through that, would you hit the like button if they were sitting right next to you? That's my gauge of everything. Because the same thing that you can do behind someone's back is just as hurtful as if you're doing it in front of them. So with social media, it's be careful, be respectful, and anything that you would not do in front of your spouse, don't do it.
No, and I just recently, not too long ago, started using LinkedIn because it's more of a business format. You don't have 15,000 pictures and you don't have your life story on there. And you don't have a lot of this, that, and other. That if I click on something, I'm seeing a headshot from the mouth up of a person, and I'm not going to get in no trouble. It's not going to lead to nothing. It tells how much work history they have, and that's it. I said, you know what? That's for me. There we go. So no drama. No drama. And I hear you saying the DM, and I'm thinking, so what's the difference if a guy got your number and he's sending you a text message? So I guess a DM, that's the same thing as you getting a text message. I would have a problem with that. I would have a problem with that.
Well, so. You ain't got to worry about it. So, but that's my answer for social media. That one is just like quick to the point, because I'm sure that when we're doing it, we know that it's wrong. And if you have to hide it, you know that it's wrong. Things don't disappear from the internet when you click delete. And be careful. Be careful.
Yeah, and I remember when you mentioned that we met on social media. We actually met on Christian Mingle, and I remember we both created our account and so forth. And I created my account because I saw your picture, and I created my account just to send you a message. And in that account, I sent you that message. We started talking, and I didn't send no other messages to no one else. And then after a couple weeks, when we were really, really talking, and I still didn't send nobody other messages, I deleted that account because I'm thinking, I don't even need it at all. Thinking the same way. So, you know what? If you're in that relationship and you have the person that you think you're going to be with, now look at what I said. If you have the person you think you're going to be with, if you think this is going to be the one, there's nothing wrong with giving that person that much of respect. You don't need to be doing both. You don't need to play hokey pokey, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So
let's answer this question before we go. What's your opinion on emotional infidelity versus physical infidelity?
Wrong. Thank
you, Sherry.
It's tough because this is the thing. If you have to get a lot of your emotions met, meaning your communications, the ooh, you look good, and man, so tell me about your job, tell me about this, that, and the other. That means that I'm lacking something and I'm not doing something. So
that's not true. That's not always true.
All right.
No, that's not always true. Okay. There's a such thing as creating soul ties, and soul ties isn't only physical. Soul ties is emotional. Like you can invest in the wrong friendship and have soul ties with that person, because anytime you reveal something emotional or you invest yourself in that relationship, you're creating a tie with that person. That's why you have to be careful the friends you keep. So emotional is one of those ties. So if I'm going to work and I'm getting companionship that I haven't voiced to you,
yeah,
or we haven't tried every option that there is. Okay, we need to go to counseling. Okay, well, you don't want to go to counseling. Let's sit down with pastor. Let's sit down with your mama. Let's get this together because I need something from you, and you haven't tried all of that. And I'm investing in another man. That's a soul tie. That's an attachment.
Okay.
So for me, the spiritual, or how does she say it? The emotional infidelity versus physical. To me, is all the same because I know as a woman, when you're emotionally invested in something, it can be like physical. There's an attachment there, and you have to go through a process to get rid of it.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's coming from a woman's standpoint.
Yeah. And I mean, and guys step out and they go, and in most cases, they try to have that conversation. That
y'all aren't emotional. Y'all try to have sex.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to say. And it's just to try to get that other
right.
need, you know, met and so forth. And that's why emotional or physical is wrong. And, you know, I do not have any intentions whatsoever of stepping outside my marriage and so forth. But I think the times when people do, I'm thinking, if you know that you're not there anymore and you want to try something else or do something else in the relationship, you know, don't cause those things because it causes a lot more hurt for you and for the other person as well.
It's a soul tie. There's different types, but it's a soul tie. Listen, it's 9 o'clock. Thank you for your questions. We'll see you next Monday. Check us out. Share. #replay for those that couldn't join us this morning. I'll be sharing later. But anything you want to say, babe?
Next week, we're doing one more edition of your questions and so forth. So go ahead and inbox Mercedes and get some more questions to us because I think the following Monday is Christmas Eve. We're going to have something special and something different for that. And then the following Monday after that is New Year's Eve, and we're going to have something different for that. So next week, we're going to do one last segment for the year of questions and answers. And this is what I'm
Sherry, yes, you can. Inbox me.
Yes, this is what I'm going to ask. Because we're approaching the end of the year, let some of those questions be about maybe something that transition you from this year to the next year.
Something you want to improve on in your marriage.
Something you want to improve on. Let's turn the gear a little bit so that way we can end the year good, but transition into going into another new year because we're going to do one more edition of question and answers, and then after that we're going to do a Christmas Eve edition, and then after that a New Year's Eve edition.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Peace.